All right, James, our favorite segment. It's the last time of the year. The question and answers. David in Livingston, New Jersey asks, why isn't there a plan to bring to the floor, I guess he's talking about the House, more COVID relief, voting rights, immigration reform, healthcare reform, and others? Would a threat? Do they worry about the caucus? I'm going to turn it to you, but I'm going to say the problem, David, is they don't have the votes.
Well, I think they passed a lot of that stuff. I mean, if you talk to the House Democrats, they voted a $3 trillion COVID relief program.
Right, and got
I mean, a lot of stuff that people say that the House Democrats should do, they've already done. Probably the messaging part was probably not all that great. But if you look at what they have passed since they took power in January of 2019, it's staggering.
Yeah.
You don't know about it because it went into Mitch's mausoleum. But there's a lot of, I don't have it off the tip of my fingers, but a lot of the stuff that you've brought, this gentleman brought up, has already been done.
Yeah, it's been done by the House, and with a new session and a Democratic president and a Democratic controlled Senate, thanks to Georgia, maybe wishful thinking, they're going to pass that so-called H.R. 1 election reform in January before they take a break. And maybe it'll die in the Senate again, but, we may be surprised. We have a letter here from, I hope I pronounce this correct, and he stresses he is a male, Anaketh in Newton, Pennsylvania. And he said he was a field intern this year for Christine Fanello, who was a campaign in Pennsylvania 1. And I know that's the one congressional suburban district in Philadelphia that still is held by a Republican. Can we flip that seat? She may have been a great candidate, and I don't know, Brian Fitzpatrick, that's Bucks County. But when you are a Republican and you win in 18 and you win in 20 with Donald Trump at the top of the ticket in Bucks County, you ain't going to get beaten in 22 or 24.
It's problematic. Yeah. I agree. I just think that the Democrats, they always do all these retreats and retrospectives and panel discussions and everything.
Those people from New Orleans are coming through again. This time it's Warren, who said, assuming there's a split in the Georgia U.S. Senate runoffs, which I still think is unlikely, but ours win one and D's win the other. What strategy should President Biden use with McConnell in the first 6 months?
Well, I mean, it's obvious that one of the things that there is a split. The big power that you have is what you bring to the floor. So if they split, it will be a 51-49, and McConnell can bring to the floor or keep off the floor anything that he wants. Yeah. I mean, and you're right. It's probably unlikely that it does split, but look, if somebody wins this thing by 10,000 votes, which is not at all impossible, there's some chance that happened. It gets the difference between having 50 seats and the vice president and having 49 seats is a lot.
It's
more of a legislative guy than I am, but you don't have to be very smart to figure that out.
You're right on. You are right on. It is absolutely night and day. We have another question from New Zealand who wants to know if the Democratic Party, it seemed to base its 2020 presidential campaign on beating Trump. Did they miss an opportunity to rekindle traditional relationships with more blue-collar, middle American voters by focusing more of those interests? Yeah, a little bit on the presidential level, but Joe Biden tried to do that some. I can fault some candidates on different levels, but I think Joe Biden tried to do it some. But, you can't do it, I guess, in one election. I have cited this before, but Pennsylvania, where I grew up, the feeling was that Joe Biden, coming from Scranton, would be able to do a lot better in those western counties that used to be Democratic and Northeast. He didn't really. He just did slightly better. And it was the suburbs that carried Pennsylvania for him. So I think Biden made an effort. The party has to keep doing that, and the Congressional Party has to keep doing it.
Well, he did pretty. I mean, he did do better in the state that we lost that close, and he did do a little bit better in Wisconsin. There is something. There's something that we do that overly puts these people off, and we're just going to have to. We're going to have to give it real thought. And now you look back on this and you say, "Geez, if we didn't nominate Biden, we'd have probably lost."
Yeah.
I mean, he was the most, but he was the most center left mainstream, wasn't so very clear on defund the police or anything like that. And when people think of us, think of Democrats, they think of the squad, or they think
Right.
of this real kind of woke leftist thing, and it's killing us. And the idea that we're going to fix this by having better canvassing is idiotic. It's just idiotic.
Hey, thanks for listening to Politics War Room with James Carville, and I'm Al Hunt. Remember to email your questions to politicswarroom@gmail.com or tweet them for next week's show at Politicon. Thank you for subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. Please rate the show with a 5-star review. We'll be back next week with another show as we continue our War Room planning for 2021. Promise that'll be a better year. I hope we will be too. Happy New Year to everybody out there.